We're just starting right away. This package just arrived at 8:40. Here we go. So they're opening over here. And before we continue with those, Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest VII. From what I've seen on YouTube, it looks nice. It just, I think it's kind of like Majora's Mask in that, well, there's some interesting looking changes. I don't know if they changed any actual mechanics. Unfortunately, it is kind of missing some stuff. Like, just kind of the neat animation that was in the original. Obviously, first up we've got Den-noh Coil and the DVD version. So what I mean is, like, there was some really neat sprite animation in the original, and they replaced them with 3D models, and some of them are probably perfectly fine. But I know a couple that were just like real, see, English dub for the second half of this, and I guess we need to, or I'm going to look at this. And I was just looking last night at Majora's Mask DVDs. It looks like the first and last disc arts are the same, so disc art 2 on the DVD version is unique. And, you know, Georg, a lot better. He was a stupid piece of shit before. This one has got an English dub. This is a Rozen Maiden Zuruckspulen. But the problem with this 3DS remake of Majora's Mask is even if they fix that battle, they also fix the first battle such that it's we see a second, so that it's a lot easier. But Ichigo, I'm not sure if the first boss was kind of epic. So we've got more One Piece, of course. It's a small update today, which is probably good because if I can get this copied onto the computer and processing as soon as possible. Interesting. Some piece of plastic. Sounds loose, and I wonder if they're intentionally packaging it that way, because you can kind of see they're backwards from each other. But, oh, I guess we should probably double check, because that says discs 1 and 2, and disc 1 does say disc 1 right there. Disc 2 does say disc 2 right there. We've seen the labeling be inconsistent once before, but the content be the same. Yeah, small week this week, but this week's anime DVD collection update. Other stuff is coming, but didn't arrive yet. It might arrive closer to the weekend, I think. Alright, let's see. Anime stuff. Obviously, I mentioned it would be a high priority, but I decided to watch the Disappearance of Nagato Yukichan. Some of y'all did tell me what its relation to the rest of Haruhi was, and you know, I kind of suspected that could be a possibility. Verified it. It's a side story. Basically playing with an idea that was originally created in just normal Haruhi stuff and just kind of going with it. It's not bad per se. It's just not as good as Haruhi stuff. It's like it's also different in a certain way where there's a certain, I don't know. I'm not even quite sure why the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is just so convincing. I keep saying that, you know, like, Kyon is actually a really fun straight man, I guess. You know, a lot of his thoughts and narration on stuff make it really interesting, kind of allow you to say, yeah, this is kind of absurd, and the characters kind of know it, but it's kind of happening anyways, so they have to deal with it. And it was at least fun in that regard. This series isn't doing that sort of thing, though, because there isn't that absurdity. It's more just a straightforward slice of life with a little bit of the Haruhi stuff mixed in there, I guess. But I don't know. I've talked before about my liking of Tenchi in Tokyo, and I guess a lot of that is especially in contrast to Tenchi Universe, which I've never really liked Tenchi Universe because Tenchi Universe does and introduces a lot of things, but it does so in a way that's nowhere near as good as the original Tenchi OVA. And I bring that up just because, you know, the disappearance of Nagato Yukichan is kind of similar in its relation to the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, except it is a little toned down. It knows it's toned down, and while it's doing some of the same things, it doesn't feel like it's necessarily doing a not as good version so much as it's doing a more lighthearted version, I guess. So it's more of a slice of life. If there's a part of me thinking it may not be that great of an introduction to the Haruhi series if you haven't seen it before, but there's also a good possibility that if you're getting it, maybe you're getting it from this box set and you'll just watch the series itself. But if you do have this series, I do suggest watching the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya before you watch this. Otherwise, as has been pointed out, one possibility is that maybe this insert was meant to be taken out and you put the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya in there. Did that get re-released with everything else? I guess I didn't check. I wouldn't need to get it because I have it on both DVD and Blu-ray, whereas while I have Haruhi on Blu-ray, it's a Japanese import, and this is more about collecting of American versions of stuff. It's a very American-centric collection, even if it's a Japanese-centric form of entertainment, so make of that what you will. Other things, I guess somebody was kind of asking about the order of things on here, and it's completely chronological. For those of you who don't know, this is about the original, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. So there were 2 seasons of it. Technically, when the second season aired, it aired everything in chronological order, I think. I'm trying to think about that one. Yeah, you got 3 orders for things. You got chronological, DVD, and broadcast order. Now, DVD order is only notable because first season, second season technically have intermingled arcs. It's a little more obvious where each arc exists in the continuum, but it also does something weird where you can't say the first season is completely chronological because the episode 0 it begins with is actually a high school video that they make later on, which is a strange introduction to the series, but pretty amusing. You know, when you're kind of... It's almost like an in-joke, so maybe it's not as great for new people, but it is what it is. Now, for those of you who don't know, broadcast order was basically all the episodes in the first season were not aired in the order that you would find on here. They were completely mixed up, and you can see a lot of this stuff, such as if you watch the baseball episode, you see they actually reference stuff that happened chronologically earlier, but in the broadcast order it would have been shown later. So they're being very ambiguous about stuff that would happen, and I think the entertaining value there is supposed to be guessing about it. It's hard for me to say because I've never watched these series in broadcast order. I mean, like, I could watch The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya in broadcast order, but I've got so much stuff to watch that's kind of hard to get around to. But what was that other series? There is a series whose DVD release has both chronological and broadcast order, which is really interesting, but I don't know for certain that the broadcast order in that one is as clever as Haruhi's might have been. I say might because I can't tell. And the entire point of doing it non-chronological was actually to take the most exciting story arc and to intermingle it with the other stuff so that you had clear mid-season I can't remember the name, crescendo, I guess, and then an end of the series crescendo. Maybe crescendo is not the right word, but it was basically to give the series a clear excitement at the middle and the ending and have the most awesome things happen there, and then have a mix of interesting things in the middle. So it was only mostly debatable because you know, if you were going to watch Haruhi Suzumiya, you would probably watch it in that order, and maybe you'd decide what to do with Season 2. But now that the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya exists, you can watch it all chronological and then get a proper feeling of ending with the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. Although it doesn't really give you that feeling of an ending so much as it just gives you that good, this is an ending point for now, and now you're going to be like everybody else and just hope for more to eventually get released. And pretty much hoping that it's actually chronologically relevant. Whatever. Let's see. More stuff. Toradora. Watching more of that with a friend. Pretty close to the end of the series, so we should be able to wrap it up this coming Saturday when he comes over. What can I comment about it that I didn't already before? I'm not sure. It continues to be a really good, strong series. I mean, I kind of commented before about how if you just had the shallow perspective of who the characters were, it might be kind of tricky to say, well, why does this same formula not work in other things? But, you know, that's a kind of a very shallow thing. I think if you watch it, you kind of understand these characters. They have their personality quirks, but they're not really defined by them. The show isn't defined by, oh, well, every time she gets a little irritated, she has to punch him, and that's the running gag. It's a common gag. It's not intellectually interesting, and socially speaking, it's kind of insulting. But, you know, Toradora plays around with all that really good, and it's getting closer to the ending, and I remember some of the stuff coming up, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again, because it was a pretty strong show. It still is, but it was too. Outside of that, I don't know if I've really been doing much. Maybe I've been watching like random things here and there. Nothing to really comment on. Like, maybe you'd think more Thundercats was happening, but it only happened recently because I finally gave myself the time to figure out a DVD ripping issue that made it where my watching of them through my private streaming server wasn't quite working the way it was supposed to. I don't know, that computer is behaving weirdly. It seems like one of the hard drives may be hiccuping a lot and resetting some of the USB devices, and those two discs were ripped probably through the USB DVD drives, so I don't know, complete speculation. Lots of stuff. I should probably wrap this up because I need to get this video processing so I can go pick up dinner. Yeah, I still have maybe enough time for that. And then, yeah, so y'all have a nice week.